Yangoru-Saussia MP condemns attack by supporters. Polling stations in North Waghi stationed at Singirok barracks. PNG Coach appalled at abuse on national team.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Batulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Monday's news. Yangoru-Saussia sitting MP Richard Maru has condemned the attack of supporters in a campaign rally last Friday. Maru told EMTV News his supporters attacked supporters of another candidate who disrupted his campaign rally. The sitting MP has also criticized the police, who have yet to launch election operations in ECP province.
Speaking to EMTV News, Maru said a commotion broke out during his campaign rally at Wiamungu in the Saussia LLG. He was forced to stop his campaign. However, his supporters went ahead and assaulted a number of people.
I left the venue, and when I left, my supporters attacked the people that tried to disrupt my campaign and chopped up. I understand 2 of them, and they are hospitalized.
Maru says the attack was uncalled for and police have made arrests.
The police, PBC sent up 9 vehicles on Saturday to bring down all those culprits and have them arrested and charged. There was a flag, so they didn't pick them up. And this morning, they've been rounded up, and they're now at the police station. All of them are going to be interviewed and charged today.
The sitting MP says if police personnel were on the ground, the situation could have been avoided.
ECP is a known hotspot for such criminal activity, and yet there's not been any special police operation to do awareness that people should behave. They should not be involved in disturbing other candidates. It's not only my supporters also must remember that I don't encourage them to disrupt anybody's campaign or elections. We should have a free and safe election, and the police force has completely failed our people. That's for sure.
Meanwhile, the ECP police commander says he is expecting a quiet polling period. Superintendent Peter Phillips said over 400 security personnel from the police, defense and correctional services will be deployed to cover the border command, which is ECP, West Sepik and Western Province.
Operation to be launched here in Wewek. We've scheduled 2nd June as the day to launch the border command operation. So I would by then have about 400 security personnel on the ground to support the election.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
The Electoral Commissioner, Patilius Gamato, has said a decision has been made to move the polling stations of 9 council wards from the North Waghi electorate to Singirok Defence Barracks. He urged candidates and supporters to concentrate on campaigning and be ready for polling. Gamato made these remarks after being petitioned by some candidates for the North Waghi open seat.
The Electoral Commissioner, Patilius Gamato, told EMTV News that the decision to change the polling station of 9 council wards in the North Waghi area was in conjunction with the Provincial Police Commander, Chief Superintendent Joseph Tondop. He said the decision has already been made, stating security and cost were reasons to move the polling stations. Gamato said polling will start in June 24 and candidates and their supporters should allow the Electoral Commission to conduct the election.
And it's a decision that I have to make. We have only one commissioner, and that's me, and I make the decision. And people should leave those decisions to the commissioner, because it's my duty under the Constitution and under the organic law of the elections to make such decision. And I've made a decision, so that decision will stand. I will not change.
Last Monday, at least 8 candidates for the North Waghi seat with their supporters held a peaceful protest in front of the Electoral Commission office in Burnstown. They protested for EC to revoke the decision to move the polling stations of 9 council wards to a non-gazetted area at Singirok Defence Barracks in Kerrowil. They raised concern that the safety and security of the candidates and their voters will not be guaranteed, as each council wards have at least 1 candidate running for the open seat or regional. Also, the transportation issue they will face, as these 9 council wards are scattered. 3 of the council wards are from Nondugul area and 6 council wards from the Bans area, which have at least 18,000 eligible voters.
Only constrict long North Waghi. So that's a very biggest concern where people like that. Where PPCM need to come forward and explain this too. And at the same time, that is not his job to fund this election. This election is funded by the Electoral Commission and the government of Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
One of the petitions by the candidates was to change the current returning officer and his assistant. However, Kamato said it will be too late to change them as we are already in the election motion. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
As part of peace building in the autonomous region of Bougainville, many families, clans and communities have continued to reconcile with enemies, and it's evident in this campaign period of the national general election. Peace and reconciliation ceremonies are conducted to allow candidates to freely campaign. Fabian Hakalitz reports.
Two families of the Nakas clan in the Hako constituency yesterday, during the Balkul ceremony, reunited following a conflict some years back. The customary ritual was part of the Reconciliation Act, with the exchange of food and chewing of betel nut. Village chiefs, youths and children at Lemanmanu village witnessed the Balkul ceremony.
Noel Sare, me talking long heart, long me, one time clan, long me, now all neighbor belong you too, me plato, sorry, long one is nothing been come up.
Me come also, me come rushing back same to me, long family belong, mama belong kidding, na papa belong pisono, and localize.
North Bougainville Open candidate Noel Sari thanked the families for the peace-making efforts, which is the solution for the autonomous region of Bougainville. He was then accepted to freely do his campaign in the area.
Noel Sari, traman makum tetati halin no champion ba patamona takakatila kapinin.
The Balkul ceremony held yesterday paves the way for a big reconciliation that will be held in the future. In Boca, Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
The promise of implementing policies within 100 days in office by Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil is being ridiculed by the People's National Congress. PNC Deputy Party Leader Mao Zeming said in a statement today that that is an American idea of using cheap media stunts that should not be copied in Papua New Guinea. Last week, Basil said if Pangu Party is part of the next government, they will implement their policies within 100 days in office. You're with National EMTV News. We'll have more stories after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. A formal coronial inquiry will begin this week in Kokopo to look into the disappearance of 6 people in East New Britain in 2013. The coroner and his team are expected to arrive from Port Moresby tomorrow, and the inquest will begin on Wednesday. The inquiry will conduct findings on the missing people, comprising 4 senior public servants and the 2 boat crew members. The 6 men mysteriously went missing 4 years ago when returning to Kokopo from Pomio on a banana boat after a budget review meeting. Numerous search and rescue attempts have been in vain. The public in East New Britain with information on the missing men are asked to attend the inquest that will be held at the Kokopo Village Resort starting Wednesday. The Human Development Institute continues to create pathways to help ordinary Papua New Guineans become better citizens. Founder and chairman of the Human Development Institute, Samuel Tam, launched one of the new programs last week. The institute has been focusing on investing in human resources to create a group of people to self-sustain themselves and inspire others.
The Human Development Institute, along with the Papusem Foundation and Associates, launched one of its new programs recently in Port Moresby. Themed as Inspire a Nation, this program is designed to train people to become more successful in the workplace and change their mindsets to become more viable.
We're launching this program to inspire people and corporate people, workers, people who are helping the community. I want to bring them together so that we can talk to each other and support each other, to help this country.
Since its establishment in 1996, HDI has trained more than 35,000 participants in and out of the country.
Well, I've started helping Papua New Guineans about 47 years ago, and then through business, through various things. But this program, we've been going for about 20 years now. So, and we've been going to the prisons to help training them and, rehabilitate the people. So it's not new. But this is the first time I brought other people together, to support this thing, not just me. So I think it's working. I think a lot of people are telling me that they will support them. So that's good. That's what I want to achieve.
The event was more than a launching. It was also an occasion for business houses, government institutions, NGOs and church groups to network. Merlin Daukatam, National EMTV News.
Journalists from the Asia-Pacific region have described the Timor-Leste experience as a positive one. It was the first familiarization trip organized by the Embassy of the Democracy of Timor-Leste in Canberra, Australia. The program brought together journalists from Australia, Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Vietnam and Brunei.
The program brought the journalists together for a familiarization of the ongoing developments of the newest country in Southeast Asia. Infrastructure development is high on the government's agenda. The visitors were taken to sites in Suai district where massive bridges, aerodromes and an expressway are currently being built. This is in preparation for the South Coast project.
PNG can learn a lot of things from Timor-Leste. They have best facilities. The best experience I've had here is basically meeting the leaders, former presidents and prime ministers who took Delhi into independence.
With all the developments that we've seen around Delhi and two districts south of Delhi, we've seen a lot of developments coming up. So in the next 5 years, this is going to be a tourism destination.
Timor-Leste has set up its Sovereign Wealth Fund, which would be good for PNG to have a mission to travel there to study their setup. Overall, the journalist said the experience was educational.
Really good, educational, learned a lot of things.
It's an amazing country, really interesting.
I'm very happy to be here to know all of you.
Timor-Leste Prime Minister Rui Maria de Araujo has commended PNG for taking a bold step to host one of the most important meetings in the world, APEC 2018. Timor-Leste is also keen to attend the meeting as an observer. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
To the Philippines, the violent fight between state troops and Islamic State-linked militants in the besieged Marawi province has heightened. At least 8 dead bodies were found in a ditch beside a road outside Marawi on Sunday.
Police found the corpse around 8 a.m. local time after reports of gunfire in the area 6 hours earlier. Local residents later reported the bodies to local police. The hog-tied corpse bore placards reading "hypocrite" in Arabic and were believed to be construction workers passing through the road around 2 kilometers away from Marawi. The violent siege by the Islamic State-linked Maute group has left 46 people, 11 security forces and 31 rebels dead. The fighting began last week Tuesday, prompting President Rodrigo Duterte to declare martial law on the whole island of Mindanao. 150 Filipino families in an evacuation center outside Marawi received relief goods yesterday as the fighting between Islamic State-linked militants and Philippine troops continue. Melissa Goviro, EMTV World News.
Sri Lanka officials say 151 people have been killed in floods and landslides after the worst torrential rains since 2003. The state-run Disaster Management Centre said 111 people are still missing.
Local officials said deaths were reported from the western coastal district of Kalutara, the central southern district of Ratnapura, and the southern district of Matara. Nearly 500,000 people across the nation were affected by the early rainy season downpours last Thursday, many families forced from their homes. Local policemen said multiple landslides were reported in Kalutara, Ratnapura and Matara. A military spokesman told Reuters more than 2,000 military personnel have been deployed to help the police and civilian agencies. Sri Lanka military and rescue teams have used boats and helicopters, but officials said access to some areas was very difficult. Sri Lankan meteorology officials said Thursday's rains were the worst since 2003, and they are expecting more in the coming days. The Foreign Ministry, in coordination with the Disaster Management Ministry, have made an appeal to the United Nations and neighbouring countries to provide assistance, especially in the areas of search and rescue operations. India is sending 3 Navy ships with supplies and other aid, the first of which arrived in Colombo on Saturday night. Melissa Gaviro, EMTV World News.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3145 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.307 $0.41 Australian dollars, $0.2715 euro and 33.87 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, while coffee, cocoa and copra close the day higher. Palm oil, crude oil and copper closed the day lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 2 points lower, the ASX closed 39 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 39 points lower as well. Here with National EMTV News, more stories making headlines overseas when we return, including a massacre in the US and tensions in North Korea. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now into the US, 8 people in Mississippi were killed after an African American went on a shooting rampage after having an argument with his estranged wife. He later confessed his actions to a reporter on the scene after being arrested.
Suicide by cop was my intention.
Massacre in Mississippi, an accused killer's chilling confession on camera.
My intentions was to have y'all to kill me. I ran out of bullets.
35-year-old Willie Corey Godbolt, seen here right after his arrest, bleeding and in handcuffs, talking to a reporter from the Clarion Ledger.
I ain't fit to live, not after what I done.
Godbolt suspected in the murders of 8 people at 3 different locations. A witness says it all stems from a domestic dispute.
For 8 in one incident, it's mind-boggling. There's still a long way to go with this investigation.
In that video, Godbolt says it all started at his in-laws' house during an argument with his estranged wife.
I was having a conversation with her stepdaddy and her mama and her, my wife, about me taking my children home. And somebody called the office.
The family witness says Godbolt's wife and kids escaped, but 3 of her family members did not. Neither did Sheriff's Deputy William Durr, who was responding to a 911 call from the home. Godbolt says he didn't intend to kill the deputy.
My pain wasn't designed for him. He was just there.
At the second location, 2 minor boys were killed, and at the third, a man and a woman. Their connections to the family unclear.
Godbolt will be charged initially with 1 count of capital murder and 7 counts of first-degree murder.
Godbolt has had previous run-ins with law enforcement dating back to 2005.
But God, you know, He forgives you for everything.
Now he could face the death penalty or life behind bars.
US President Donald Trump's son-in-law is still under the spotlight on his involvement with Russia. Trump, who posted on Twitter, is calling the claims as fake news.
Tonight at the White House, damage control. The president finally back from his first big foreign trip.
I think we hit a home run no matter where we are.
But instead of doing a victory lap, he's circling the wagons. Today, the president's daughter, Ivanka, spotted consulting the private lawyer Trump has retained to handle the Russia investigation. Her husband, Jared Kushner, is the latest administration official to come under scrutiny. He's not a target of the investigation, according to sources, But he does face enough questions that some in the president's inner circle now privately say it might be time for Kushner to consider a leave of absence. First and foremost, why did Kushner try and set up a secret back channel with the Russian ambassador, even after U.S. intelligence agencies concluded that Russia tried to meddle in the election?
I do think there ought to be a review of his security clearance to find out whether he was truthful, whether he was candid. If not, then there's no way he can maintain that kind of a clearance.
The president's allies on Capitol Hill stand by him.
Look, I think Jared has said that he's more than willing to answer any and all questions.
The president himself is clearly frustrated. The Russia story continues to be such a distraction. Today, he railed against the leaks that have been keeping the story front and center. Quote, "It is my opinion that many of the leaks coming out of the White House are fabricated lies made up by the fake news media." The president would rather the focus now be on his trip. A great success for America. Hard work, but big results, he tweeted today. At least two of America's allies don't see it that way. Today, German Chancellor Angela Merkel expressed doubts about Britain and the U.S.
Indem wir uns auf andere
The times when we could completely count on others are over, she told supporters, a lesson she says she learned in the past few days.
Hundreds of British Airways customers have slept in airports in a hope to still catch their flights after cancellations due to a computer outage. It is the second day of cancellation of flights as British Airways is working around the clock to get their computer systems up again.
For some BA customers, it had been a long and uncomfortable night. Bleary passengers this morning still hoping to catch their plane. BA passengers in Rome have been told it might be Tuesday before they get home. Some travelled here by train from Naples after spending hours on a plane there yesterday that never took off. As thousands of people wait in a packed Heathrow, dozens of flights have already been cancelled, and many more will not depart as the airline struggles to reset its global network after a major power failure. But confusion still abounds. Some passengers have been told their flight is cancelled online and then get the exact opposite message when they call the airline to confirm. This problem looks set to persist for far more than just a few hours.
South Korea and Japan are condemning North Korea's latest ballistic missile launch. The South Korea military says the short-range missile was fired from North Korea's east coast. It flew about 450 kilometers, then fell into the ocean within Japan's exclusive economic zone.
After a successful missile launch, they're always in the picture, sharing hugs, smiles, and cigarettes with their vicious boss. Three officials whose body language and behavior toward Kim Jong-un are different from the other North Korean elites nearby, who genuflect in fear.
Kim Jong-un has guaranteed their job security, and that is what their body language is indicative of. They can feel comfortable enough with Kim Jong-un to deliver bad news.
CNN is told rival intelligence agencies are watching these three men carefully. Kim Jong-sik, Ri Pyong-chol, and Jang Chang-ha are supernovas in Kim's inner circle, the men behind the missile tests.
At some point, they are going to put together North Korea's intercontinental ballistic missile.
A missile that will eventually have the range to carry a nuclear warhead to the U.S. mainland.
Kim Jong-un is keeping these technocrats right by his side so that he can be in direct contact with them and urge them to move fast. It reflects his urgency about missile development.
Of the three men, experts say, Ri Pyong-chol, a former Air Force general, has the most important role.
He's the one that provides Kim Jong-un with the situational awareness. He's the eyes and ears for Kim Jong-un in the development and research of nuclear weapons and conventional weapons.
Analyst Michael Madden is consulted by intelligence agencies on North Korean leaders. He says Kim Jong-sik is an accomplished rocket scientist. It's believed these three men are held in such high esteem they get to rub elbows with the supreme leader like no one else.
They do get to travel in Jong-un's jet They do get to travel in his cars, which is something a privilege that's not been extended to other corps leaders. In terms of their lives in Pyongyang, they live in an exclusive apartment housing.
Analysts say it's possible rival intelligence agencies could target the three men for assassination, similar to how 4 Iranian nuclear scientists were assassinated a few years ago.
They could be targeted through a drone strike. The other option is essentially finding someone within the North Korean government who does not like who is disenfranchised and still has access to the activities, that is to say that they have access to the leadership activities, who could be an assassin.
Could Kim Jong-un purge any of these men himself if they fail to advance North Korea's weapons program? Analysts say it's possible, but not likely. Their scientific and logistical knowledge is simply too valuable to Kim and too tough to replace.
A 10-year-old boy was thrown out of a new 3-story water slide in California. While the 10-year-old had minor injury, this follows after a family received a $20 million settlement after their 10-year-old son was killed while riding the world's tallest water slide in Kansas.
Terrifying moments on opening day of this water park in California. Watch as this 10-year-old boy plunges down this slide before he tumbles off onto the concrete. The open-air 3-story slide called the Emerald Plunge is part of the Bay Area's brand new $43 million water park called The Wave. The attraction featuring 2 tracks with 80-degree drops.
I would be worried about those 2 slides because they are really steep.
Here you see the boy shooting down the green slide, and as he gets near the bottom, he flies up over the edge and rolls onto the ground. Park operators rush to help the boy.
He seemed to be shook, but seemed to be okay, came right up, and immediately went into the first aid room and was assessed by staff.
The child suffered some bad scrapes and was briefly treated at a nearby hospital before being released. This latest slide incident comes on the heels of a $20 million settlement awarded to the family of 10-year-old Caleb Schwab. Schwab was killed after going down the world's tallest water slide at a Kansas water park last summer.
It's an accident, but there's an accounting because someone was negligent.
Here with National EMTV News, Trukai Sports is next. We'll have the details after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with football. PNG coach Fleming Seritslev is appalled at the abuse the national team received after his players were assaulted by supporters of the Football Federation of PNG. Police had to be called to the scene of the team's training ground on Saturday morning when the national team's training session was interrupted midway. Seritslev, who over the weekend celebrated his team's SP Sports Award, said they would use this as motivation to perform better.
Some hooligans and officials from fake Football Federation entered our pits, entered our training, interrupted our training, and we actually had to stop the training 45 minutes before schedule. Had to call the police to take care that everything went on in a good way. It's unbelievable what is going on in this country when it's about the national team. Unfortunately, I have to say there are few people who does everything they can to destroy the work of the national team. And in this matter, this award tonight, it comes as a big motivation for us. It comes on exactly the right day that there are people who honor the performances that the players have done for the last year. And it's a great motivation for us for the upcoming matches against Solomon Islands.
The Papua New Guinea men's national football team have taken the award for Team of the Year at the 25th SP Sports Awards. Rewarded for the OFC Nations Cup run, the PNG squad is looking to continue the World Cup qualifying campaign, meeting Solomon Islands in June.
With their winning run in 2016 that began with the country defeating arch-rival Solomon Islands for the first time in 28 years, the PNG squad has only been moving forward in leaps and bounds. Under the guidance of Dutchman Flemming Siritslev, the PNG team has been improving in its chances of qualifying for the FIFA World Cup in Russia in 2018. PNG captain Michael Foster was excited at receiving the award.
I don't know what to say, but to be honest, I'm happy. I'm happy right now. I'm happy with the achievement of the boys that we are working since day one with the coach, the OFC, training camp the last year coming up now, and the result of that, it like seems that.
Vice President of the PNG Football Association, John Wesley Gonjuan, said the recognition was a long time coming.
We'd like to thank all of them for the efforts that they put together up until now that we've got the first award ever. And we'd like to also thank SP Sports Award and the organizing committee, and then the selection committee for also selecting soccer as to receive this award tonight.
Credit, however, must go to national coach Flemming Siritslev, who has been instrumental in the side's run so far. Papua New Guinea meet the Solomon Islands on the 9th of June in Honiara before playing the return leg on June the 13th. Jeremy Waghi, National TV Sports.
The Pacific Games Council has resolved to have one last attempt at keeping the Games in Tonga. They met last Friday to address the Tongan government's letter of withdrawal from hosting the 2019 Pacific Games.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sir John...
The Pacific Games Executive Board was addressed by Acting President of Telstra, North Waghi, and the Chairman of the Tonga 2019 Pacific Games Organizing Committee, Lord Sevele. The Executive Board will give a little more time to the Tongan government to address their financial concerns with the Pacific Games Council. The Pacific Games Council representatives have asked to meet with the Tongan Prime Minister in June to begin a process of fully reviewing the Games cost structures. The Games Council Executive Board has set up plans in place for the process of selecting an alternative host nation if the Tongan government is not fully determined by 30th June. Meanwhile, Tonga's former finance minister says government funds have been allocated for the Pacific Games. Lord Sevele presented figures at the Tessenok meeting which he said contradicted the claim that withdrawal was due to financial issues. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
A fundraising dinner was hosted on the weekend by Hagen District Sports Association to support young people in rural areas. President Simon Kama was disappointed with a number of athletes from the 3 electorates of Western Highlands Province. Hagen District Sports Association has 20 sporting codes who will represent Team Western Highlands in the upcoming PNG Games.
PNG Sprint Queen Toya Whistle was a product of Hagen District Sports Association. Another athlete is Taekwondo bronze medalist from the 2015 Pacific Games, Stephanie Combo. The aim of the association is to improve sporting conduct by identifying raw talents in the rural areas and give them a second chance in life. Despite Mount Hagen being the 3rd city, there are no sporting venues for these raw talents to train and excel. At the dinner, President Simon Kama urged government, local MPs and the city authority to build sporting infrastructure. He said there are many raw talents in the province, but there is no avenue and support to build them up. Kama also urged business houses to build sports stores so that trophies and sports uniforms can be purchased in Mount Hagen.
If you want to do anything, seriously we should be thinking. I'm telling you, if you are a leader, you are trying to build infrastructure. You have to have good people using your infrastructure. If you neglect the youths now and you build infrastructure, these people will destroy your infrastructure. So I am very, very serious in saying this. Help the youths to have better mind, healthy body, and they can start using the infrastructure.
The sportsmen and women were told at the dinner that Mount Hagen City Authority is yet to be funded by the national government. Currently, they are funded by the Hagen Open MP William Duma. However, the authority CEO Leon Noki pledged to work together with the association to build a sporting infrastructure that can cater up to 65,000 seating capacity. The 2015 Pacific Games bronze medalist Stephanie Combo spoke of her hardship being an athlete from Western Highlands Province.
To be honest, we don't especially we don't athletes from Western Highlands, Western Highlands, we don't prime people struggle. We don't lose from Narrow Province. support. Members told me suppose you go through financial wise, and they get support. Like people staff on camps, and it's like you get line go looking more like provincial level. But people Western Islands no.
Meanwhile, Kama said Team Western Highlands, through the association, needs greater support from the local MPs. He also thanked the support of the sitting member for Hagen Open, William Duma. Vasinata Yama, National MTV Sports, Mount Hagen.
Still to come in Trukai Sports, the inaugural New Guinea Cup, NRL updates and Indy 500 car racing. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The SPA Hunters came out victorious in the inaugural competition for the New Guinea Cup. The Hunters defeated Townsville Blackhawks 42 points to 4 in their home game yesterday. The biannual event will see them keep the cup in the country for the next 2 years. The Hunters were presented the trophy by representatives from New Guinea and the Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League.
The New Guinea Cup was a commemoration of the recently launched direct flights between Port Moresby and Townsville. It was also to pay tribute to the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kokoda. PNG RFL CEO Reata Rao thanked the Blackhawks and Hunters for a spectacular game of football. He says he is looking forward to the next New Guinea Cup tournament.
It's been a great game for our friends and our supporters of Rugby in PNG. So thank you so much, Coach Michael, Coach Christian.
Chairman of the SPPNG Hunters, Graham Osborne, was pleased with the result. He thanked New Guinea for coming up with this initiative. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
To the NRL, round 12 of the Telstra Premiership saw only 4 matches. All the other teams were on a bye.
The equation up.
Friday night football saw the Parramatta Eels break their 2-game losing streak with a 22-16 win over the Rabbitohs. After losing to the Storms last Sunday, the Bunnies were too sore to make a comeback.
A long way away, but those cameras are...
And it was a victorious night for the Warriors in Auckland on Saturday, where the Brisbane Broncos got a taste of their own medicine, losing to the New Zealand outfit 28-10. For the Bronx, most of the front runners were either injured or booked for the State of Origin commitments, while the Bulldogs and Sharks tussled in a thrilling 80 minutes that saw neither with a double figure on the scoreboard. It was a score-for-score until both were levelled at 8 points. Paul Gallen then did his magic in the final 3 and assisted halfback Chad Townsend to slot a field goal from the 25-metre mark, and that landed the Sharks a 9-8 win. And the Raiders are now back in the Premiership's top 8 after the 24-16 win over the Sydney Roosters on Sunday. For the players that did not make an appearance in any of these matches, they are already preparing for the State of Origin Game 1 this Wednesday. Dinero Strico, National MTV Sports.
Brisbane Bronco forward Adam Blair has been named the New Zealand Kiwis captain for this year's Rugby League World Cup. He replaces Jesse Bromwich following his cocaine incident after the NZ clash earlier this month. Blair has led the Kiwis before having the co-captains with Isaac Luke during New Zealand's 2015 tour of England. Brisbane Broncos coach Wayne Bennett and teammate Benji Marshall have backed Blair to succeed in his new role as captain of New Zealand. A New Zealand Indy 500 driver crashed into another vehicle while into the 54th lap in what could have been a near-death accident. Scott Dixon was a hot contender for the top prize.
Travelling at around 350 kilometres an hour, it's a crash no one should have got out of alive.
Caution! Trouble! Oh my goodness, what a huge crash!
Scott Dixon left in the wreckage of his Indy car after disaster struck on lap 54. British driver Jay Howard causing chaos on the oval circuit, giving Dixon no time to react.
Stop right there. Stop on the top load.
The Kiwi remarkably walking away unscathed. This, all that was left.
He was just so lucky that the hard part of the car did not land 3 feet farther back.
Yeah, just a little beaten up there, you know. It was definitely a bit of a rough ride, but I'm bummed for the team, man, you know.
A disappointing finish to a race Dixon was a hot favourite to take out, starting from pole for the 3rd time at Indianapolis. But it's been a week from hell for the Kiwi star. He and his Chip Ganassi teammate held at gunpoint at a fast food drive-through.
It's just not our week. It's just not meant to be, and it wasn't. So.
One thing's for sure, Dixon will be counting his lucky stars.
And that ends Trukai Sports. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Here's a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Port Moresby, mostly fine as well for Daru. Kerema, becoming cloudy with a chance of a few afternoon or evening showers. Alotau, cloudy with occasional showers with thunderstorms. And Popendetta, becoming cloudy with occasional showers and thunderstorms over the next 24 hours. To the Momase region, Lae, cloudy with occasional showers and thunderstorms. Medang, mostly fine, becoming cloudy later. Wewak, mostly fine throughout. Vanimo, cloudy with rain periods and then fine in the evening. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lanka, cloudy with some showers expected for Kavia, Kokopo and Rabaul. Cloudy with some showers for Kimbe, cloudy with some showers as well for Buka and the autonomous region of Bougainville. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect some cloudy weather and some showers over the next 24 hours. To a look at the forecast for small ships for tonight and tomorrow, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerma, to Yule Island, Hood Point, including all Milne Bay Islands and its islands. To the forecast for small ships for tonight and tomorrow, waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Kerma, Yule Island, Hood Point and Samurai Island, seas 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, waters of Samurai Island to Cape Vogel and waters of Finchafen through Vitia Strait, Dampier Strait, including Siasi Island to Long Island to Medang and Bogia, seas 2 to 3 meters. Waters northwest of Cape Vogel to Finchafen, seas 1.6 to 2.5 meters. Waters of west of Bogia to Wewak to Aitape, Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1.5 to 2 meters, increasing to 2.5 meters over the western group of islands. Waters of New Island to East New Britain and Bougainville, seas 1.5 to 2 meters. And waters of West New Britain, seas 1 to 2 meters, increasing to 2.5 to 3 meters over the westernmost part. And now look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas. Coral Sea, seas rough with southeasterly winds at 26 to 34 knots. Solomon Seas, seas moderate to rough with southeasterly winds at 15 to 20 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas moderate to rough patches with southeasterly winds at 15 to 20 knots, reaching 25 to 34 knots west of 148 degrees east. And the Pacific Ocean, seas moderate with easterly winds at 10 to 20 knots. And that's the news, sports and weather for today, Monday the 29th of May 2017. Beginning another working week. From the EMTV News team, have a pleasant evening. Good night.